guys! What's going on? We forgot to start the audio, so the first part of this episode will not have audio. That's on us. My bad. Not even my bad. Shad's the one who's I should be paying attention to the button though. Hey, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody.
Oh, my stupid jokes!
Oh yeah, it's so fucking.
Fuck it. We're just starting the episode here. I don't give a shit.
It pretty much doesn't matter. Anyway,
so 2 minutes, 2 extra minutes, whatever.
Anyway, yeah, but the last thing we were talking about was like watching like the progression of people we like grew up like idolizing and seeing as like like heroes or like actors and like stars and shit. And that's the craziest thing for me is like I'm now hitting this point where a lot of the people like I grew up with are like they're hitting that point where it's like you're like they're retiring or like
they're dying.
You're dying or something. Like again, like I'm a huge pro wrestling nerd, and so like it's crazy to me to see guys like Rey Mysterio and like Jeff Hardy now, and like watch Jeff walk around and see like how he's like genuinely like held together. Like it's really fucking depressing. But it's like you also get to see people who are having like this revitalization of their fucking careers. Like I remember, when Idris Elba first started, act like one of the first things I ever saw him was on The Wire, and like I remember like being super impressed. And now that dude is like, he's a fucking megastar and one of the best actors in the industry. And I swear to fucking God, he's the next James Bond, right?
That hasn't been confirmed yet, but everybody wants him to be
I swear to fucking God, people, if we don't make Idris Elba the goddamn next James, he's the smoothest motherfucker in Hollywood now. Like, there ain't a dude out there that is as charismatic, and he's fucking cool, alright? Like, that's the thing. That's the thing we need to fucking bring back, is we need to bring back people who are just actually cool.
Let's suck his dick.
Like, same. But, like, Robin Williams is the perfect example. Yeah. Robin Williams was cool. He wasn't, like, cool in the sense of, like, ooh, edgy and shit. Like, he was just fucking cool. And people loved him for that.
And his daughter's name's Zelda.
And that's fucking the coolest fucking shit, too.
I did enjoy it. It was a Nintendo commercial, I think, about Legend of Zelda, where he's, like,
you are pretty magical, like that. I know
yeah,
the
that one.
Yeah. No.
It's like, are you getting me confused with the princess? It's like,
what can I say? You're both pretty enchanting. Like, yeah, like no, like he's and like that's what I'm talking about. Is like you don't get, like there are great actors out there. Do not get me wrong. Like, I'm like the guy who plays Daredevil. On
Netflix?
Yeah, on Netflix.
I don't know his name.
I don't know his name either, but that dude's fucking awesome. The guy who plays Luke Cage is great, and like, there's so many great, and not to mention guys like David Tennant and like all those and UK stars who are coming over, and like all that shit. Like they're all great, but there are very rare occurrences where you see an actor now and go, that's fucking cool. Like. I hate to bring this up, but that's one of the reasons I think Suicide Squad bombed was because you didn't have a guy in there that was like impressive.
Well,
like I get Will Smith is a great actor,
he is,
but Will Smith isn't cool. Like Will Smith is awesome and he's fucking hilarious and he's a genuinely nice human being, but. There is no part of me that now looks at the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and goes, yeah, that dude is hip with the edge kids.
He's hip with the youths.
Yeah, like I honestly would have rather seen Will Smith play somebody from the Marvel universe. I don't know who. I honestly thought he would be a great fit for like fucking. Or like even so, if you wanted to stick it with the DC, I just thought of this actually. He would have been a better pick if you wanted to do like a Black Lightning, movie. He would have been the best pick because he is both.
I haven't seen the TV show yet.
I haven't either, and I haven't heard anything about it. And I don't. That's weird to me is that I haven't heard anything about it. But I feel like, and no disrespect.
Look at her! I'm gonna fuck her. What?
Okay. No disrespect to the guy playing Black Lightning now. Like, I'm sure he's an amazing fucking actor, but like,
Well,
that's what I mean. Is that you need a certain actor for a certain role, and the reason I feel like Suicide Squad bombed is because you put in a bunch of like pop actors. You put in a bunch of people who had a lot of credibility.
There's other reasons why it bombed.
Oh no! Also, just the writing was terrible and fucking.
The fact, okay,
the
so
progression of the movie
if y'all
was
never
awful.
seen Suicide Squad, I was actually personally excited for that movie because I'm like, I love Suicide Squad, I love Deadshot, I love Harley Quinn. I didn't know much about Diablo, the Enchantress.
And I'm the biggest fan of fucking Killer Croc. It's the only actual again, a lot of my favorite DC characters are all based in the Batman mythos because I really don't fuck with anything from DC. But I loved Killer Croc, and I thought the idea of in every Suicide Squad thing, like the comic books and the animated movies and such, there is a heavy, Like, I know that in one of the animated, they brought in King Shark or whatever. And I thought Killer Croc would be such a fucking cool character to show because you have, all this potential. Like, you can use CGI and basically just make him this behemoth of a fucking dude. And they basically just made him like a gangbanger, which, as a comic book fan, that's a cool kind of reference. There was a one-shot comic about a guy joining Joker's gang, and in that version of Gotham, it was very more gangster style. So like Killer Croc was just like he looked like 50 Cent with scales, and so I dig that whole idea. But when you're trying to show these characters off, and this is the first time anybody's seen these characters, and the first time a lot of people have ever heard of these characters. Because, like, I don't know anybody who knew who Katana was, or Diablo.
I knew Katana, I didn't know Diablo.
I like Captain Boomerang, who, like, we know because, like, The Flash and all that shit. Yep. But, like, again, like, that's a lot of the first time that.
But here's the thing about the Suicide Squad that actually really did annoy me. Was that you had two big stars. You had both Margot Robbie and you had both Will Smith.
Right.
Two massive stars. Mm-hmm. And you can see that in the fucking movie. Mm-hmm. They showed like 10, 15 minutes of backstory for these characters. Yeah. And the rest were like, oh, Slipknot, he can climb.
Well, the whole joke about Slipknot, to be fair, is that he's just supposed to die.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but you also had Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, Diablo, who had like a couple minute backstories, but you had these two stars, and they should get limelight because they are, big budget, they're gonna bring in the crowds, people who don't know who the fuck what's going on, but don't make it prevalent in your fucking movie.
Right.
Like, you're making a movie that are introducing these characters, and you're like, okay, so we're gonna give about an hour and a half to these two characters, and everyone else gets like a minute. It's like, all right.
You're getting sake?
Yeah, this is sake.
Yeah, it's sake. But yeah, no, like, and no offense to Margot Robbie and like all of them. I'm sure, like, they really wanted that movie to succeed.
Yeah.
But like, all the blame really goes on to the producers and directors and all those backstage people who were trying to push certain shit.
The worst thing about the DCEU right now is that they're trying to make it the MCU.
Yeah.
And hell, even the creators of the MCU are like, or on a podcast, I think it was a Kevin James podcast, and Kevin asked like, hey, if you guys had the chance to get into the DCEU and fix it, how would you do it? It's like, they have a wide range of characters they can dive into.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know this back then, Iron Man wasn't that big of a character.
No, he was not. Iron Man was very much like, as someone who played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the arcade, like, I can tell you that there was a handful of people who know the story of Tony Stark, and even less people who knew the story of guys like War Machine. And
so when they were making the MCU and they wanted a character, they couldn't get Spider-Man because Sony owned them. They couldn't get X-Men because Sony owned them. And same thing with Fantastic Four. So, three of the biggest like Marvel characters that everybody knew.
Everybody. Like, you ask somebody, name 3 Marvel characters, and I promise you, like, one of the top two will be Spider-Man.
Yeah. So with that in mind, so when they were creating the MCU, they couldn't, could not get Spider-Man. So they started with Iron Man. They made Thor. Hulk was still pretty well known. So they were like, cool, we have at least somebody everyone knows. That's when Edward Norton came in the picture. And then Captain America. And then they made Avengers, and everyone's like, oh shit, this could be an actual thing. And 10 years later, boom, we got Infinity War, and it has what? It had a budget of 40 different characters in it.
But people knew each character.
Exactly.
People knew the story behind it.
And if you see the previews from last Comic Con too with the DCEU, they're starting to bring in different characters. They're bringing in Shazam, which looks amazing. The costume looks crazy.
I think that movie will do really well. There was no part of me that gives a fuck about Shazam.
No.
I'm sorry, but that whole concept to me is just I can't get behind it just because it's I'm not a fan of the whole, kids being superheroes thing, because I think that puts the morality of the whole situation into a very weird space, especially with Teen Titans.
Oh, fuck Batman?
And Batman and shit.
Yeah, because that's another thing too. Because if you look at the DCU, they started with Superman.
Yeah, who is basically, Jesus Christ in comic book form. It's
they make that prevalent in some of the movies.
Well, fucking, what was it, Man of Steel, where they actually did the whole, the Jesus pose for, movies like that just might as well throw a fucking Bible at somebody as they're fucking...
And then they brought in Batman for, Batman vs. Superman, and I like Batfleck, I really do. Especially since it's 20, 30 years into his career and he's starting to get older and all this shit's happening. And that's a butt. Anyway. And everybody who says they hate that movie, which I did enjoy Batman vs. Superman, mostly because of the Batman fighting scene near the end of the movie. That's how you fight with Batman.
Yeah, it's very much I feel like...
She farted.
I feel like here's the thing, is if you wanted to if you want to use Batman again, I would say if you want to keep Batfleck, whatever, I'm fine with it. I'm not a fan of him, but I'm not opposed to him.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep that character, you need to, and you want to keep using that universe, you need to use somebody other than the Joker. Because using him in Suicide Squad was a huge fucking mistake.
That was weird. Yeah.
And you blew an opportunity to make a movie with him being the main fucking deal. Because you had a chance to fucking build something and you missed it. So my suggestion is the fucking Riddler. Because what Batman is at the end of the fucking day is the world's greatest detective.
Yep.
And what we are lacking in the cinematic world today is a good fucking detective movie. Something that really has you sitting on the edge of your seat throughout the fucking whole thing, trying to figure things out and piece things together. That's why, TV shows like Game of Thrones and, fucking Breaking Bad and The Wire, to bring it all the way back around, worked so well because they had these plot developments that led people to think multiple things could happen. And when you shrink that window down to just only these couple of things, it ruins not just the movie but the characters, because you're not giving them room to grow. You're just slowly confining them into one space.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone on a little bit of a tangent in this episode, talking about, but again, that's us though. That's what Fat Dragon really is just is dumb jokes butt. and conversations.
Look at that peach butt.
I do not it. I 100% think that that whole character is just first of all, if you're gonna have you can't have sexualized characters in a stylistic game.
You easily can. Will it work? Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it won't work. Like you can. There's nothing against it. But like that, it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's.
You know what else is gonna happen? Ending this episode.
Oh shit. Peace.